Before lockdown hit, I know that you had never recorded a song and you were primarily a visual artist working with sculpture and video art and that sort of thing. Do you see any aspects from that carried into your music making process?
Maybe the erratic behaviour in which I record music, in the sense that it just happens when it happens. It's really fluid in nature. It's not something that I go in and thinking I'm going to write a song about a specific subject or want it to have a certain sound. It just comes and flows out naturally. So it's more of a like a practice sort of process rather than like a research-based practice, which is very arty to say, but it is very much like a just comes from like a natural place. It's not thought about too much.
So you let the process kind of lead where the songs are going.
Yeah.
And when it comes to live environment too, with a pair of you, is that a similar approach in that setting?
It's quite interesting how it is natural a lot of the time, right? Like largely when you come in, the way that you write music is like, it's inspirational for us that play with you, but also, yeah, it's amazing. Like you can come in one week and you'll be like, these are another 4 songs, like, and you're like 4 songs in a week or whatever. But yeah, then it just tends to be really, like you'll start playing and then it'll just naturally, like more recently, right?
It's come like that. I think with having Brett in the band, I don't think I'd be able to do it as well live without him. He's probably going to cry now, but
I'll save it for.
But no, it's good because I think it drives a different sort of aspect to the music, whereas maybe the recorded nature of the songs sound a wee bit more lo-fi and maybe a wee bit more dreamy than they actually are live.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that sort of when it comes to a live setting, people get excited about it because it's similar but new, and then they can take something away from it that you maybe can't take away from it from a recording. And I think but now with Brett and Andy and Karen, we wrote for the new EP that is coming out called Safe House. We wrote our first song together called Safe House. So yeah, that's been quite fun as well.
And it was like, yeah, it was great. It was just that feeling of like, it seems to have fitted in with the way that you make music. Just it's weird how it's come together. It was like, it's hard to describe, right?
It was within like 2 hours. I brought a song. I had this like a chord progression and lyrics, and then playing the guitar with Brett, and then Karen with the bass, and then Andy with drums. And you had an input with the drums.
You couldn't. Yeah, that's the way you described it. It was like, I just don't know what I want to do. And it was just like that, but it was a great song. But it was a weird thing, is like, when you were feeling like, just weren't really sure which direction. And I had like a drum beat idea, and I was doing it to Andy, like beatboxing it sort of thing, because I'm also an expert beatboxer. and then Andy started playing it, and then within like 10 minutes, you were like, I need to record this. This is like
we recorded it on the phone, and then I went home and recorded the bass, and I made like a MIDI version of the drums, and then and Brett recorded his guitar parts at home, and then mixed it all together, and there you go.
pretty loose, arty, like the way I guess.
Yeah. But it worked really well, and I think if the way the song has come out, you would probably guess it was made the way it was made.
I don't know.
I don't know, but it's been fun.
When you say you wouldn't guess the way that it was made, is that something that's very much present from the beginning? Is there a part in the process where it starts to shift into that?
I don't think, this is the one thing that I've noticed as well, is like the new way that it has happened a couple of times where you've brought a song, it feels like it's naturally, it doesn't feel like it's a completely different thing from what you've done, which is kind of, I think everybody else is very conscious of that though.
Yeah.
Is nobody would want to go and stamp all over like the way that it would have been initially or anything, you know.
Yeah. No, I think the new songs where we'll be recording them together, they do feel similar, but also a wee bit. They do feel new, and they're quite exciting.
Yeah.
I think that these songs that we're talking about are new are not actually. There's only one of them that's in the new EP that's coming out, but after that, we're already working on the next one. So, but yeah, I think just letting it flow naturally, see how it sounds, and yeah, it was working out quite well. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Have you always been so prolific as a creator? Like what you were saying that, it'll be a week will pass and you'll bring 4 songs into the room.
Well, with art, yeah, contemporary art has always been really prolific and stuff like that. It's, it was so like not to talk too much about art, but like the idea of it was an experiment and seeing what happens. And a lot of the stuff I used to do was I used to make video art, and a lot of it was like I was kind of like blowing up stuff and making like experiments like that. And the question always was what would happen, what if, and then yeah, so like that prolific nature sort of came into when I was making music, and it is also like a burden originally, because I would only, if I couldn't write it in a day, I would get really bored of it. And it was something I learned for this new EP, Safe House, that it's maybe worth taking a wee bit longer than a day to try and write a song. But yeah,
it can be like that.
Yeah,
it's a funny one, right?
Yeah, it's but yeah.
I mean, the music, whether it be the first singles you released, the album, or the singles that have dropped for the EP so far, and there's one out and another one coming on Friday.
Yeah.
They all seem to evoke a certain sense of nostalgia, and maybe it's not the same kind of nostalgia, but they all have that feeling about them. What period in your life would you say that you have the most nostalgia for, do you think?
For me, in my life, it's definitely when I was a wee boy. I used to go fishing with my dad. I'm from Inverness, I'm from the Highlands, so like the countryside was very much part of my life. And I used to go fishing all the time and just out in the countryside all the time, and we'd like build rock towers and stuff like that, me and my dad. And I think that's probably a lot of the nostalgia from my life comes from. And I think even from a young age I always look back, because I had an older brother who died when I was only 7, and looking back at stuff like that, you always have you always tend to look back when something like that happens in your life. So yeah, probably something like that. But I don't know about you.
I think it's reflective in your covers as well. The artworks for a lot of the releases are like like pictures of like old film photographs and stuff.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's great.
What about you? What's your?
I think it's the same for me as well, and I think that's probably why, like, I think the music largely, there's lots of aspects about it. It's funny that you say it's nostalgic, and that, it strikes that kind of emotion. I think perhaps even like without you thinking about it, it evokes that feeling because it's kind of lo-fi.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's hard to describe. It's almost like textural, like tape, or listening to like an old tape or something.
It's like sounds that you associate, because it's this idea of being distorted to something when you think like to VHS or like whether it be old audio recordings, it's always a little bit off.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's something that, I mean, individually we both love doing that with music, but I think that's like something that you definitely evoke that sort of feeling for sure in the music,
Cool.
When it comes to what you're pulling from, let's say from a lyrical perspective when you're writing, are you pulling from the present or are you pulling from the past more, do you feel?
It's a bit of both. I can be funny about it, and I do have some funny songs that have come from a place which maybe is not so deep. Like Find My Way is literally about trying to find my dog in the dark. But I had poetic license to sort of like make it a wee bit like ambiguous. But but then some other stuff, like some of the other songs, like Safe House is about being depressed and being sad on your own. Paralysed, the one that was just out, that's about being depressed and alone. But yeah, no, a lot of it is based from things from the past, and but lyrically it's fluid as well. It really depends on how I'm feeling that day. So, yeah.
It's funny that you're saying a lot of the new EP comes from being depressed and alone, because you're married now.
I am married, yeah. Yeah. Nah, yeah. So that was one of the things, yeah, because I was like, it's easier to write songs when you're miserable. Like,
it kind of is, right? Yeah.
But no, I'm really happy in like normal life. But I was like, so to like try and have something, I wanted to try and create a narrative in my own head when I was writing it. There isn't really a narrative throughout the songs and the EP, but I wanted to have a moment to think about where something was rubbish and sad, and then try and write from there. Because I've tried to write songs about being happy and married with my wife, but they all sound really cheesy.
I think when you try, it's just like you can tell almost, right?
Yeah.
But then when you're not thinking and you're just doing, and it like tends to feel a lot more kind of natural.
I have a song called Josie, but it's not out. I don't think it will be, but because it's for her ears only. So, but yeah.
I don't want to know what that one sounds like.
No, it's sweet. It's nice.
Yeah.
I was meant to try and sing it at our wedding day and stuff, but I didn't. I was too nervous.
It's a lot of pressure.
It was. But yeah.
Thank you very much, guys.
No worries. Thank you.
No worries, man.